There are moments in life when nothing feels particularly wrong, yet nothing feels right either. The days pass, the world keeps moving, and you move with it, quietly, carefully, carrying a weight you can't quite name. This is where this story begins. Not with tragedy, not with triumph, but with someone simply trying to get through the day. If this feels familiar, stay with me. Evan had always believed that kindness was something you did when you had time for it, when your life was stable, when your heart wasn't tired, when your mind wasn't already full. But lately, time felt like something he was always running out of. He worked long hours at a job that paid the bills but didn't nourish the soul. His phone buzzed constantly with reminders, messages, obligations. Even his quiet moments were crowded with thoughts about what he hadn't done yet. And still, every morning, Evan took the same route to work. Down the same street, past the same corner cafe, by the same bus stop where the same people waited, day after day. Most mornings, he barely noticed them, until one morning, he did. She sat on the bench instead of standing. That was the first thing he noticed. Everyone else stood, shifting weight, checking phones, glancing down the road. But she sat very still, hands folded in her lap, eyes lowered as if she were holding herself together by remaining perfectly quiet. She looked tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Evan slowed his steps without meaning to. He told himself it wasn't his place to stare. He told himself he was already running late. He told himself a lot of things, the same things we all tell ourselves when we're about to walk past someone who might need us. And then he noticed her shoes. They were worn thin at the soles, cracked, uneven, the kind of shoes that tell a story without words. Something inside him paused. Kindness rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with certainty or confidence. More often, it shows up as a quiet question. Should I do something? Evan stood there, caught between instinct and hesitation. He didn't know her. He didn't know what she needed. He didn't even know what he would say. But he knew what it felt like to be unseen. So he did the smallest thing he could think of. He stepped closer and asked gently, "Are you okay?" She looked up, startled, not offended, just surprised, as if no one had asked her that in a while. "Yes," she said quickly, then paused. "I think so." The honesty of that answer stayed with him. They talked while they waited for the bus. Nothing dramatic, nothing heavy, just fragments of life exchanged between two strangers who had no reason to open up, except that they did. Her name was Mara. She'd recently moved back to the city after caring for her father during a long illness. He had passed a few months ago. She was trying to start over, but starting over felt harder than she'd expected. "I keep thinking I should be stronger by now," she said, staring at the road. "But some days just getting out the door feels like enough." Evan nodded. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't offer advice. He just listened, fully, quietly, without checking the time. That alone felt like an act of kindness. When the bus finally arrived, they stood. Mara hesitated before stepping forward. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to unload all that on you." "You didn't. I'm glad you said it." As they boarded, Evan did something he hadn't planned. He paid her fare. It wasn't a grand gesture. It wasn't dramatic. It was barely noticeable to anyone else on the bus. But Mara froze for a moment, then smiled, not politely, but deeply, like someone who hadn't expected generosity and didn't quite know how to receive it. "Thank you," she said softly. Evan shrugged. "Just pass it on someday." At the time, he didn't think much of it. He went to work, the day continued, life resumed its familiar rhythm. But something inside him had shifted. Kindness doesn't always feel like fireworks. Sometimes it feels like calm.
That evening, Evan noticed the world a little differently. He moved slower. He listened more. He felt, for the first time in weeks, like he had participated in the world instead of just surviving it. That night, he slept deeply, and the next morning, he took the same route again. He didn't see Mara again for a while, but something had changed in how Evan moved through his days. He held doors open longer. He smiled more easily. He let people speak without rushing them. It wasn't intentional. It was contagious. Kindness, he realized, didn't drain him. It restored him. If this is resonating with you, keep listening. And if you'd like more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you know when new stories are shared. Weeks later, on a rainy afternoon, Evan's car broke down. It stalled on a side street, far from his usual route, far from anyone he knew. His phone battery was low. His patience was lower. He stood there, frustrated, unsure what to do next. And then a car pulled over. A woman stepped out, holding an umbrella. "Car trouble?" she asked. Evan nodded. She smiled. "I thought so." It took him a moment to recognize her. Mara. She laughed when she saw his expression. "Looks like you need a little kindness today." She called roadside assistance, let him use her phone charger, waited with him in the rain while they talked, not about grief this time, but about small victories, quiet progress, and the strange ways life connects people. Before she left, she said, "I never got to pass it on the way you asked." Evan smiled. "Looks like you just did." Kindness doesn't always change the world, but it changes someone's world. And sometimes that someone is you. It reminds us that we matter, that we're seen, that even on ordinary days, we can choose to be part of something gentler, something better. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to notice and act in small ways, especially in small ways. If you're listening to this and wondering whether kindness still matters, it does. If you're wondering whether small actions count, they do. And if you're waiting for the right moment to offer something good to the world, that moment might already be here. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this story helped you, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss future stories of hope, healing, and quiet encouragement. And remember, kindness has a way of finding its way back.